These preteens and teens don't have the same outlet that we had. They don't have the little teeny bopper things. People always pointing the finger at children. They're too grown. They don't listen. Da da da. But let's see another ground of it. They don't have a space for themselves. That's the problem. They do not have a space for themselves. So we can't blame them for being all up in grown folks' business when they don't have their own space. And when they do, their own space is either corny or real childish. Trust me, I took a look at it. I watched it. It's not the same as our early childhood shows ours, or it's not the same as our early clothing stores where we had our Claire's. And I know Claire's is still around, but it was just different.
Christ's love isn't like everybody else's love. It's not like the world's love. The world's love loves you when you do things right or when you do things with them. But as soon as you make a mistake, they take that love away. But what I've experienced with the love of Christ is that it loves first. It loves through wrongdoing. It loves when you shouldn't be loved anymore. It's unconditional. And that's the love that I believe is going to change the world and has changed me.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Micaiah. I'm back and I'm black and I'm back and I'm black and I'm back and I'm black and I'm back and I'm black.
Sasha here. Excuse me? Supermodels do not fly business class. Now, I'm not going to demand a private jet, but I think Jag could at least spring for first class.
And today I am bringing you all another video discussing an important topic. A lot of times we blame these kids for being grown too fast, but honestly, a lot of these preteens and teens don't have the same outlet that we had. They don't have the little teeny bopper things. They're all up in our grown folks, adults' business. And this is a problem, and we need to bring this space back. But before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to see more of me. And if you're new, hey. If you're a returner, I really, truly appreciate the love. If you get the chance, please check out my social media platforms down within the description box where I display my passion for fashion. And for all who are new, you should know I do an array of topics. I am extremely diverse. I love to do more nostalgic content, blasting you all to the past. I love more nerdy content, and I love more conscious topics with more depth. Plus, I dibble and dabble within blogs. So if any of those things interest you, then you'll have a home over here. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
This highlights the gap between generations, how we expect young individuals to adjust to a world we have constructed while overlooking the extent to which we have deprived them. We had things such as 106 in Park, Teen Nick, Tumblr era blogs, fan forums, and it was an emphasis for us going outside, getting physical activity. Today's kids are completely locked in online day in and day out. Not to mention, we have physical hangout spaces just to be kids. Now, schools are underfunded, art programs are cut, online spaces are hyper curated, monetized, and toxic. They're left to quote unquote create identity through TikTok trends, trauma sharing, and influencer culture. And here we have the result where kids are growing up online without a cushion to land offline. Today's preteens encounter mature content, mature expectations, and mature consequences. They are acting like adults because the internet implies that this is essential for survival or to remain significant. Yet emotionally, they are still children, learning and growing in front of an audience. It is simpler to state, quote unquote, these children are quick, than to inquire, why do they feel compelled to behave like adults? What leads them to prefer aesthetics over genuine expression? Which systems have let them down? We have to evaluate their actions without establishing environments conducive to healing, play, gentleness, and a sense of belonging. The reality is that they are not mature. They are merely surviving. They exist without supervision in a digital environment that is indifferent to their emotional preparedness. What may appear as being quote-unquote overly mature, frequently a defense mechanism, a plea for guidance, or an imitation of the behaviors they observe. It is not acceptable to take away their safe spaces, overwhelm them with information, neglect their emotions, and then fault them for being quote-unquote grown. They are just trying to navigate this life without the tools that were available to us. So before we ridicule them, I believe it's important to step back, because over the years, this has been an observation that I've came to, because before I used to be that individual about how these kids are so grown, which they are, but we also have to take accountability as those who are growing within this generation and within this world, that they are slowly but surely having no more spaces for them to fall into. So it makes sense why they keep trying to be all up in our business when we don't have a proper space for them. There needs to be spaces curated that aren't too corny, that aren't too childish, that fits perfectly for them. And we have to mention, due to the climate of this social media realm that we have going on, it's only growing. So they're truly growing up in this space. Yes, we were exposed to it, but in a different kind of way. It wasn't our whole life. It didn't make up every single thing, but slowly but surely, your whole life is lived on the internet. And if parents don't monitor that, and parents can't check everything, then that's why their whole life is lived on the internet, and they want to fall into all these expectations of what the internet has for them, which means what? They're exposed to a lot of adult content, then they want to grow up so fast. They're just exposed to so much information, and we have to give them grace in that matter. So majority of our preteens and teens were just filled with freeness, you just going through the motions. Of course, life brings twists and turns, but now this generation has a whole set of twists and turns that we didn't experience, and it's important that we give them grace in this matter and help them navigate this world, because it's hard. It is hard even as an adult navigating this space. So imagine them trying to fit into an adult realm and try to navigate this space themselves. That forces them to have to be grown and fall into all these standards. So if you only take one thing from this video, I do want it to be for us to give them more grace. And when you see them misguided, provide the guidance, give them the tools. And if they don't listen, they don't listen. But hopefully that seed is planted where they can end up learning from that and helping them better navigate this world, because I do believe a lot of them are having a hard time more than we realize.
So this is a major issue, is because a lot of preteens and teens don't have their own outlet. We had Justice, the little preteen phase. We had the different shows on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel that weren't like corny. And if they were corny, they were the good kind of corny where we still related. Got to watch our DComs with the Disney Channel original movies like Let It Shine. I was still watching Disney Channel in my early high school years. So what I'm explaining though is that it's a problem when you have young girls, young boys shopping at, well, specifically young girls shopping at the same place I'm shopping at. They shouldn't be wearing the same thing I'm wearing. And the lines have been blurred, and we blame them for being grown. But no, the way this society and the way the world has been shaped, they go from children to adults. They don't have that preteen teen phase anymore. And even if they do, it's seen as too corny. Really peel back the onion, this middle ground, so that they can have their own space too. And I hope this encourages someone to come up with something, heck, I may even, where the preteens and the teens can have an outlet that doesn't feel too childish, but doesn't feel too grown. And we're always pointing the finger like they're the problem, but it's important for us to point it back at ourselves. Is because they don't have an outlet. They are grown because they're in the same spaces we're in. They're grown because they're watching the same thing I'm watching. Not to say I wasn't watching certain things, adult things that I was watching when I was a teen. However, I had a nice balance where I would watch preteen, teen related stuff, my cartoons, but then I had cartoons that weren't like too corny. It was nice in the middle ground, even though I like little child cartoons, but that's neither here nor there. But they don't have that middle ground, that middle space for them to release. Like we had back then, Forever 21 mainly was for like teens, early 20s, and we had like our own little space. Of course, now every age probably shops there, but we had our own space. It was carved out for us, and we can't blame them when we've taken those spaces away or we've made those spaces too childish. And I don't think this is talked about enough. Even within the music, we had our Mindless Behavior, we had our OMG girls, and we had our own Justin Bieber even at the time. There was a lot of teen idols. Now it's not the same, and a lot of the idols they're looking up to are in their early 20s doing grown things. Like, for instance, we have people like Cat's Eye, and we have people like Tyler, and the list goes on. They have more of a youthful audience. However, they're still grown individuals. So if these are their role models, we have to be very careful, because they're going to be thinking they need to do the same grown things, or they want to do the same thing their idols are doing, or their favorite singer, rapper, whomever it is. So we have to make sure we cater out those spaces for them. So I thought it was important to take a different spin on this, because like I said, people always pointing the finger at children. They're too grown, they don't listen, da da da. But let's see another ground of it. They don't have a space for themselves. That's the problem. They do not have a space for themselves. So we can't blame them for being all up in grown folks' business when they don't have their own space. And when they do, their own space is either corny or real childish. Trust me, I took a look at it, I watched it. It's not the same as our early childhood shows are, or it's not the same as our early clothing stores where we had our Claire's, and I know Claire's is still around, but it was just different. So I thank you all for watching. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Please leave your thoughts, perspectives down within the comment section. How do you feel about this? Do you feel that there's a way to reverse it and bring back their own space, or is it already too late? Some kids may look at it as, no, I want this grown thing. But for the newer generations coming in, I think it's super crucial for them to have their own space and not go from children to adults. But let me know your thoughts and perspectives. If you agree, if you disagree, that is completely okay. But we can have a healthy disagreement down within the comments section. Let's be respectful. And I want you all to remember that you are loved by the God who created the universe. He made you for such a special purpose. So let your light shine bright and don't allow anyone to dim that, because you are wonderfully made. So I thank you all for sharing this moment with me, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Stay blessed, everyone.